Some notes sent to media outlets, starting with TMZ and also several other outlets here in the Tucson area, including one of our stations here in the Tucson area, KOLD. Now, the station confirmed it did receive that note by email and then sent it to the sheriff's office. They have not confirmed if that note was indeed.
This is Liam. This is 101 on patience.
He's waiting for Sparky and Thunderstruck to play.
Yeah, he's waiting for something exciting.
Hit somebody.
Has he been to a basketball game before?
He has not. No, not basketball. You want to do that?
Yes.
I feel like I got it. The ASU women's. It's not as crowded and it's fun.
Yeah.
Boom, there it is.
Here we are.
Fox 10 Talk Sports, the 6:30 p.m. on a Wednesday edition. Blake Niemann, Robby Baker, Mark Malorich, Richard Sines out on assignment tonight.
Yes.
We drew the short straws. We did not go to the WM Pro-Am out at the TPC Scottsdale today, which was okay. We got plenty to talk about because we were over at ASU football's media availability, which bore some fantastic fruit. We got to meet some of these new incoming transfers.
Yes.
But the primo spot today was posting up at the WM Phoenix Open Pro-Am and seeing the likes of Emmitt Smith and Larry Fitzgerald and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, if you haven't seen the video yet, I don't know if you saw it, Blake, almost hit a hole-in-one on 16.
Yeah.
Killer Trav was within, 2 feet of that whole place losing its collective mind. I don't think they would have recovered for the tournament teeing off tomorrow morning if Travis Kelce would have made a hole-in-one on 16.
Hey, I know his career is coming to a close here. Retirement rumors have been surfacing in recent years. So the golf game and him spending some more time on the links, he could have been training up for this.
Yeah,
I'm just putting it out there.
You could train, and nothing prepares you for 16. But Travis Kelce's used to the big moments.
And how about Kenny? Larry Fitzgerald was pulling Kenny to do an impromptu shot on 16. No warm up. Kenny nearly he gets it on the green, I think.
Hey, on the green is good. That's all you aim for. Yeah. That's all you aim for at 16. Then you don't get booed,
Yes.
But the actual WM Pro-Am, the WM Phoenix Open will tee off first round tomorrow, and Brad Gass and I will be out there for that. The biggest storyline probably going into this, you have your normal big names, Scotty Scheffler and those guys coming around, but Brooks Koepka leaving the LIV Tour probably about a month ago, and then coming back to the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour accepting him back in. He played at Torrey Pines and the Farmers last weekend, and then this will be his second event on tour again. Brooks Koepka playing in the WM Phoenix Open, and he's been a winner here before. This is a course and a situation, and he likes the rowdy fans, and the fans love Brooksy, so it'll be interesting. He tees off, I believe, at 12:45 tomorrow off the first tee, so we will definitely be following him for a little bit. You said you were out Tuesday for the Special Olympics charity putting thing. That was the first time you've been to the event to cover it, pretty much.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I was out there last year at the Phoenix Open, helping out with some production stuff while I was in school. But it's seeing 16 last year. That was pretty incredible. It's really truly a environment, I feel unlike any other in golf. I mean, I haven't really been to a whole lot of golf tournaments. I don't watch a ton of golf, but it seems you're putting a football atmosphere around one hole.
Oh, it's 100%, yeah.
Which is, I think, really unique and really cool, and they call it the greatest show on grass for a reason. There's people everywhere with all sorts of, fun outfits and, people, obviously getting intoxicated everywhere. That's
a good time is usually had.
Yes. So, but it's beautiful weather outside this time of year. The rest of the country is in shutters and freezing.
This is a Chamber of Commerce week. 80 degrees and sunny every day. Get out of here.
I think I met a bunch of people last year who were out here from all sorts of different parts of the country. And then they plan their, I don't know, college roommates reunion, or, the boys getting back together or the gals getting together and all kind of reuniting here at this one event. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I took my little guy Liam and my parents. We went over yesterday for family day when the practice round. It's obviously much more laid back. Guys just practicing. You get a chance to walk around. You get your first dibs at the merchandise tent because they just opened it that day, so you get to see all the goodies that are in there for this year's tournament. And we were talking to one of the volunteers in one of the tents. I believe her name was Kenzie. But she was from Nebraska, and there's snowbirds that come out here. And yeah, she was saying Nebraska that this week is in the 20s or whatever with wind chills and stuff. And
Gosh.
she's like, yeah, and I'm outside, volunteering at the golf tournament. It's 85 and sunny. I was like, yeah, that's the way you do it. That is the way you do it. So plenty of golf coverage coming up the rest of the week here on Fox 10 and throughout the streaming platforms as well. To kind of divert to where Blake and I were at today, the ASU football team had some media availability today there was some of the returners from last year, the CJ Fights, Man Robinson, Boogie Wilson, some of those guys were around. But today was mainly for our first opportunity to meet the incoming transfers, which seems like there's about 100 of them. Basically, it's a lot of roster turnover for ASU, and I don't say that in the sense of ring the alarm or anything like that. This is just college football nowadays. Basically, 70% of every roster transfers and turns over. Such is the name of the game now. But I will say, and I think you would agree, very impressed. And I
Yes.
shouldn't be surprised, because if Kenny Dillingham and Hines Ward and Brian Ward and all this coaching staff are recruiting these guys, they're not recruiting duds.
Yeah.
Everybody that's been brought in that building is, Kenny says, be a good person.
Number one standard in the program is to be a good person.
And it felt like it's hard, I don't want to be overzealous because we basically talked to everybody for 5 minutes or less, but seemed like everybody we talked to fits that box is checked.
Yes, yeah. I mean, everybody that we spoke to today, ranging from incoming Kentucky transfer quarterback Cutter Boley to, really prized portal prospect Omarion Miller from Colorado to Reed Harris, another star wideout from Boston College, all the way to David Avett from Villanova. Really sharp, well-spoken guys, young men that I feel will fit really well within this program. And speaking specifically with David Avett, that was one of my most enjoyable conversations.
He's great.
He's lesser known, maybe than some of the other members of the transfer class.
I have a feeling like he's going to be known.
Yes,
he's going to be known.
He's a big, stocky guy, chip on his shoulder, coming from an FCS program in Villanova. And we were talking like, what's this opportunity like for you to play at the Power 4 level? And he's like, well, my parents can cancel their Flow Sports and ESPN Plus subscription and can just watch my games on a national TV network. And so it's like, that's really the state of it. It's like these guys who come from these smaller programs have an opportunity to prove themselves and improve their draft stock. And with David, he was speaking about talking with Sean Aguano, and like Sean Aguano literally told him, like, I only take guys who want to make it to the NFL. And so David clearly has that goal.
And honestly, at this point, Coach Aguano kind of has a reputation to keep up. It's basically every year somebody is getting drafted, going all the way back to the Eno Benjamins, Rashad Whites. Basically every year, every other year, someone's getting drafted. And I don't know if there's going to be an ASU running back. Well, there won't be one drafted this year. So someone's going to have to fill that mantra going into next year. And that's kind of what David was saying Coach Aguano was telling him when he was recruiting him.
Coach Aguano has had that pipeline surging, especially highlighted by Cam Scadaboo recently back in the Valley this past weekend for the celebrity softball game. That was a super fun event. A lot of great alumni back in town. But to shift over to Cutter Boley, I was really impressed with the way he spoke. And he talked about how he committed intentionally to ASU early on in the portal cycle, because one, he wanted to be developed by two of the best quarterback developers in college football, Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo. Combined have developed Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, Jordan Travis, several really successful NFL quarterbacks and collegiate quarterbacks light. Sam Levitt also a part of that group. Now,
you got to. I mean, ASU fans can feel how they want to feel about him, but you have to include him. When Sam Levitt came here, he wasn't Sam Levitt. Kenny and Marcus Arroyo in this offense allowed him to get however many millions of dollars he got from LSU. He wouldn't have got that if he didn't come here and develop the way he did here.
And with Boley, his story is so interesting because he's a Kentucky native. He went to the University of Kentucky. So I'm asking him, like, why take this leap of faith to come all the way to the West Coast? And he was like, my goal has never been to be a specific college. Like, his dream growing up wasn't to play for UK football. It was to make it to the NFL. And he believes that Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo provide him that opportunity. And then in turn, circling back to my point of, he committed early on in the portal so he could be a voice and try and convince some of these other guys in the portal to come play with him, to come play at ASU. And I think that speaks so loudly of his leadership. This guy's only 20 years old, a similar age to when Sam came into the program, and he's already trying to get other guys to be a part of ASU, and it worked out. I mean, they get Reed Harris, Omarion Miller, really, really solid targets to surround him with.
And you can't underestimate the value of, he didn't put up world-beating numbers at Kentucky last year, but he did have an entire season as a freshman starting in the SEC. You cannot put, you have to put a value on that is he saw
That rarely happens in college football. Man.
Yes, of course, and that it's also different in a sense from the Sam situation, because Sam had a couple starts and some starting opportunities at Michigan State, but it was not a consistent whole season, and Michigan State's schedule was not Kentucky going through. And this isn't anti-Big Ten, but it's different if you're a 19-year-old and every week you're starting. He didn't miss any injuries. Like every week he was the starter at Kentucky. And I'm not saying that maybe if he, they would have had an incredible season and won the SEC, he wouldn't have transferred. But that experience sharpens somebody. It's got, kind of another thing. It's typical theme with Kenny is the chip on your shoulder. He's got some calluses from that experience, and to come into your point too, and the leader kind of leadership qualities. I mean, everybody that we talked to really seemed to have. And again, it's not surprising. You at this point in the year, what are we in? Going into year 4 now of Kenny. Mm-hmm. It's the guy. Like everybody that's brought in is like, yep, makes sense. Yep, makes sense. Yep, makes sense. So that leadership, those intangibles like that, it was nice to see that on display from all of the guys. The one guy that stood out to me, well, a lot of them stood out, but Amarian Miller. We knew, there's so much hype around him, the highest rated transfer ASU to come to ASU. And since they did these transfer portal and the rankings and everything, he's supposed to be, the scouts and everything and the rating system say he's going to be better than Jordan Tyson, or he is better than Jordan Tyson. And he's big. I'll tell you that much. He's a big dude and he looks the part. And the way he talked today, again, another Kenny intangible, that competition that, you need to compete. When I asked him about, like, hey, how have you picked Jordan Tyson's brain? He was at Colorado, came here, going to be a first-round pick. You were at Colorado. And he basically was like, yeah, Jordan's been great, hosted him when he was here, actually hosted him in Colorado, you said. And then he basically ended his soundbite to me by saying, I'm going to get drafted higher than Jordan, though. And
That's
it wasn't in like a mean way. It was just like, no, I'm going to come here, put in the work, and I'll actually end up being better than him. And it wasn't cocky. It was very sincere. And again, that goes back to the guys Kenny brings in.
Yeah, Kenny brings in guys that, you got to believe in yourself. And that was the thing I think that got really highlighted and spotlighted and attacked by a lot of the national media during the Peach Bowl, when Scat was saying all his stuff, when Sam was spitting a little bit of game. And then, Kenny was like, this is who these guys are. When you tell someone, especially or I guess the 2024 season, mm-hmm. like you tell guys how they're counted out, they should be picked last, and then they go and prove why they weren't. Like, of course they're going to stand on business, as they should.
No, it was nice. It's also very nice that ASU does this. They do this throughout the year, whether it's this is the incoming transfers. There'll be different things like this through the spring. So we're very thankful too that Doug Tamaro, Jeremy Hawks, and Kenny makes his players available like this, because if you're a college football fan of various teams across the country and big brands like ASU is growing into, this is not normal to have freshmen. And I mean, there are some schools you can't even talk to freshmen all year. Right. Even if the quarterback, I covered Alabama. When Tua was a freshman, he did not talk. He was the starting quarterback, but freshmen don't talk at Alabama. So this is, if you're an ASU fan, you should be grateful of the access that we are able to provide you guys to the program. We'll come back on the other side of this, talk a little. We are back here, Fox 10, Talk Sports on a Wednesday night. No Richard and Mark, but you got Blake and Robby. Richard,
Stuck with us.
You're stuck with us, yes. I mean, I guess technically you're not stuck. It's on YouTube. You can click on it. I would prefer you to stay and watch. I would prefer you not to leave, but, such is the way of the internet. You're not really stuck if you don't want to be. But we hope you're stuck with us for another 14 minutes here or so. We're going to dive into some Cardinals here. Neither of us have had a chance to meet Mike LaFleur yet, the new head coach. He was introduced yesterday on Tuesday in a formal press conference. But we kind of know of Mike LaFleur now after the official hire came out at the end of early this week. And obviously, if you don't know, he was the Rams offensive coordinator. He comes here now. He was pretty much a week ago in town, reportedly for a dinner and a whole day of interviews, and then nothing came of it at the time. The Cardinals were kind of holding out for Clint Kubiak, did an extra interview with him. He is the Seahawks offensive coordinator, and he ultimately decided to go and be the head coach of the Raiders after coaching the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. This is kind of word salad here, but I'm kind of putting the puzzle pieces here. And after that hire, then the Cardinals hire Mike LaFleur officially. I'm not surprised. I think it's a good hire. I think you look at his brother, Matt LaFleur, in Green Bay, panned out pretty good. It was also cool to see, I saw some clips that his brother was at the press conference yesterday.
Yes, he was.
Which was cool. And I think our friend Jordan Ham posted the clip. I don't know if he asked the question, but posted the clip that somebody asked Matt LaFleur, what would you have said if somebody told you and your brother were going to be coaching in the NFL someday, and you may face each other depending on what the schedule comes out. And he basically was an expletive, but it was like, are you me? Like I wouldn't have believed you, because it's a crazy thing to have your brother and you coaching in the NFL. There's only 32 of these jobs in the world. So hopefully, fingers crossed here for Mike LaFleur and the Arizona Cardinals. Again, he was a hot name on the market. It's a name that was linked to the Cardinals fairly early on, but they did a very lengthy process and due diligence. And it's a pendulum swing the other way again of Cliff Kingsbury was the offensive coach. Then you swing the other way and you go defensive coach with Jonathan Gannon. And now we're swinging back the other way with the offensive-minded coach. This happens all the time in these hiring cycles. It's still too early, obviously, to have any bearing on will he be successful here. But his success will largely hinder on who his quarterback is. And I would think it's safe to say part of this process, on especially LaFleur's side, is doing due diligence, asking Monty and Michael Bidwell and the people within the Cardinals organization what their kind of plans are. I don't think LaFleur came here, and is blindsided by this. He was just in the division. He knows what's going on here. But it'll be interesting to see, because even there's been some times he's been very diplomatic about how he's answered the Kyler Murray question so far, which you expect. What's he going to come in on his first day and be like, yep, we're trading him? Like, that's not going to happen. But very, very diplomatic in the way any Kyler Murray question has been phrased or posed to Mike LaFleur. And whoever is the quarterback, whatever that decision is, that is going to be one mammoth domino that is going to fall in terms of what happens, who the replacement is. Is it a bridge with Jacoby Brissett? Like, the quarterback conundrum, if you will, is going to largely pave the way for if this is successful or not with Mike LaFleur.
Oh, it's going to be the make or break for the Cardinals at the end of the day is their quarterback. We saw last year, even though when Jacoby took over, the wins versus losses didn't really change all that much, besides the big Monday Night Football win against the Cowboys. That was the last win they had outside of week 2.
And what a time it was. What a time it was.
What a time it was. That was one of the final spurts of a game that we really saw Marvin Harrison Jr. at his full potential. But I think the Cardinals made the right move in going back into the offensive pendulum, because when you look at, you have the best tight end in the NFL right now. There's really no...
Sorry, Travis Kelce. You may hit a good...
Sorry, Travis Kelce.
You hit a good tee shot on 16. You're no Trey McBride, buddy.
Trey McBride, pound for pound, right now, as of the 2025-26 NFL season, is the best tight end in the NFL. I think he was a first-team All-Pro. I'm pretty sure he got voted first-team All-Pro.
He had to be, yeah.
Well, if not, we'll find out tomorrow, NFL honors, if it wasn't released.
Oh, yeah. We'll dive into that in a second.
I'm pretty sure he got first-team by the AP. Point is, he's the best tight end in the NFL. Then you got young draft pick, top 5 pick, and Marvin Harrison Jr. You have a former number 1 overall pick in Kyler Murray. Will he be the quarterback? We don't know.
And now you have a 1,000-yard receiver.
1,000-yard receiver in Michael Wilson. And then you're supposed to be getting, James Conner back in the backfield.
And if Trey Benson, if he can stay healthy this year and become the Florida State running back he was and showed promise. I mean, to your point, there is hope when it comes to the offensive side of the ball.
Right. And I feel like they invested so much on defense in the last offseason. You look going and getting Josh Sweat and adding some different pieces, getting Calais Campbell, who actually became a super critical piece
Ended up
of this
becoming
year's
probably
team.
their best defensive player, which is astounding.
At 30, late
Calais.
30s years old, I think he's 39, like that. I think the defense, has its foundation there. Might have not been the right setup with everything with JG and his staff. And now you see, I'm intrigued to see how LaFleur builds out his staff and who he goes out. I think he just hired his offensive coordinator today.
Yeah, reports started to come out this afternoon. Nathaniel Hackett has been hired as the offensive coordinator. The Cardinals have not confirmed that yet, but football fans will remember Hackett as he was in Denver. He went to New York with the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers 10 seconds into the season tore his ACL, and things unraveled as things tend to do for Jets head coaches rather quickly. But that's nothing to take away from Nathaniel Hackett. If he does end up being the offensive coordinator, it will be an interesting setup because it does sound like Mike LaFleur is planning to be the head coach and also call his own plays, which is not unusual for if you're a Cardinal fan, because that's what Cliff Kingsbury did, but Cliff Kingsbury was also his own offensive coordinator. So it'll be, it's somebody that is a hire that has head coaching experience. Mike LaFleur has never had head coaching experience. So if it is Nathaniel Hackett coming in as the OC, he has had head coaching experience. He's been around the league a long time. He's also been around top-level quarterbacks like an Aaron Rodgers. So if he's not calling the plays, he will still have a heavy hand, you would imagine, in whether it's schemes or game plans and leading LaFleur into what it means to be an NFL head coach. But it'll be interesting. The Kyler Murray kind of cloud hanging over this organization still is it's gonna be there until it's not, and it's gonna be the biggest question mark as we get in further into the offseason and we get closer to the draft and they have the 3rd overall pick, and it's just it's something that we're gonna keep talking about because you have to. It's the biggest sports question when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals right now. As we have a couple minutes before we wrap up, though, more Cardinals, but more exciting is we anticipate, and it's got to be. I know Bill Belichick. Who knows how the voting works? Did the Jordan Hudson thing play a part in this? I don't know. Bill Belichick should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He didn't even make the final cut or whatever the voting, however it works. Okay. Larry Fitzgerald, tomorrow night is when they do the final votes and they do the knock on the door and the Hall of Fame finalists find out if you're in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Larry Fitzgerald is among that elite group now that could get the knock on the door tomorrow. He's got to get the knock. Even Emmitt Smith today at the Phoenix Open Pro-Am said he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And Emmitt Smith is in the Hall of Fame. He's got a bust already. He's saying, yeah, put my guy in there with me.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why Larry Fitzgerald should not be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he was toward the end of his career encroaching on Jerry Rice records that we thought would never be even close to touch. I believe it was the receptions record and then the receiving yards records that he was really getting close to, with sneaking up there on Rice. And the consistency, the loyalty that Fitz showed to the Valley from the heights of going to the Super Bowl and playing the Steelers to all the way towards, the dark days near the end. He was consistent throughout that entire period, up until the very end of his career. And he for a while, he didn't even make an official retirement. I don't know if he ever did.
It's funny because when Cliff came in and there was Steve Wilkes the one year, the end of his career, it just got wonky with the different coaches coming and going and everything. And part of it too was, again, to your point, being Fitz is, in a later stage in his career, too, he wasn't the burner down the field. He didn't, maybe have the leaping ability he did, but he transformed his game. He ended up accepting a role being kind of a slot guy, a possession receiver. He was always an outstanding blocker. And no matter what coaching changes or whatever was thrown at him, I can't remember the exact number now, but the list of quarterbacks that have thrown a pass or a touchdown, really just a pass even, to Larry Fitzgerald it's honestly hilarious. I mean, there's probably 50 guys that have thrown a pass to Larry Fitzgerald over his career. So not only did he put up Hall of Fame numbers, but there was one, there was a small pocket with Kurt Warner and a small pocket with Carson Palmer. There was a lot of stuff in the middle there with John Skelton and Ryan Lindley and Kevin Cobb. And this is not disparaging those guys, but they're not Hall of Famers. Like Larry Fitzgerald made his own Hall of Fame career. It wasn't like he was tied to Tom Brady for 12 years.
No, he went out and got it every single day. That hard hat, lunch pail mentality, coming up to work, and he put in the work, earned everything he got, and people forget he was a fantastic college player too.
Oh, Pitt, man. I mean, Pitt Panthers.
I mean, Pitt's at Pitt. Like those who don't know,
elite.
Might be
my parents went to Pitt growing up, and so we were. This is a quick side note to your point. So my parents went to Pitt, and my late grandfather was very good friends with the voice of the Panthers, Bill Hillgrove. So when the Panthers played in what was then the Insight Bowl at Chase Field the one year, we went to the game, and afterward we went to the Pitt team hotel after they won with Mr. Hillgrove and his family, and we're just like around. Got to be around the players, and I was probably 10 years old or something. So I was like, oh my gosh. And Fitz won the MVP trophy or whatever for that game. And he came over, Mr. Hillgrove walked us over to him, and he was incredible. I mean, he was, a young kid at the time, but incredible. So nice to us. Handed my dad the MVP trophy so we could take pictures with my sister and me. And then who would have thought, all these years later, he ends up coming to the Cardinals and everything. But even at a young age,
that's really cool.
And he got it, man. He's the man. But yeah, those Pitt, he was elite.
First ballot in my book. I think he should be in everyone's book.
Yeah. So we'll find out tomorrow. That's the NFL Honors event is when they officially announce it, and it's really cool how they do it too. The Hall of Fame finalists kind of sit in their hotel room, and I think his name's David Baker, the guy who's in charge of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He walks down the hall, and if you get they call it the knock on the door, and the guys all start tearing up, and the head of the Hall of Fame gives them the big hug, and you're coming to Canton, and it's an incredible thing visually to see these guys, all their hard work pay off. So all of our fingers are crossed. Well, hopefully Fitz gets that knock tomorrow. He had a good day today to lead up to it. His mind was not thinking about. He was out playing golf today.
I mean, shout out Buddha too. Buddha came from the Pro Bowl games, out here, played a round of golf, and he's going back.
But also the Pro Bowl's a joke. What are we doing? Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowler. Like
it's lost its meaning for sure.
What are we? I saw Joe Flacco was going to be an injury replacement. I'm like, Joe Flacco played for 2 teams and started 6 games. How are you a Pro Bowler?
Rest in peace, Sean Taylor. But I miss the days when he would just lay out
hammering people in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
and the iconic Andy Reid and the Hawaiian shirt and the shorts.
Yeah,
and, come on.
When it was played in Hawaii every year, that was the Pro Bowl.
That's what
full pads. But
now they're
all
playing
good things come to an end.
Football.
I guess.
Who knows?